Greetings, everyone, and welcome. It is April the 6th, a very large update tonight with a lot of facts as I try to share with you guys always. Yes, the thumbnail saying, hold on tight. You see Putin there with that classical picture in the sunset looking back at his boys. Giddy up, boys. Kim Jong-un, Xi Jinping, Iranian leadership, and there are many others. Giddy up, boys. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to hold on tight because a lot has unfolded. Yes, Poland has called out the United States, telling them they better be very careful. Iran is throwing their rhetoric around, and we are hearing the possibilities that ultimatums will be coming to Ukraine. And of course, Russia striking indiscriminately with ballistic missiles even being fired out of the Black Sea ships. We're going to talk about all of it. Thank you for sharing, commenting, liking. Let's jump right in. Poland warns the USA. This is so important and needs to not be missed. Poland warns the United States of a possible historical mistake in talking with Russia. This was stated by Pavel Koval, an advisor to Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk on Ukraine. And we know that Donald Tusk, Duda, have been very supportive and very outspoken and vocal in their work for the truth in Ukraine. Donald Trump may make a historic mistake if, during potential negotiations to end the war in Ukraine, he agrees to recognize Russian control over Crimea, Donbass, or other occupied territories. Finally, we have a nation, a strong nation, an important nation coming out and saying, listen, you're going to make a mistake if you play with the devil. Because that's basically what it comes down to. You play with the devil and you're going to get burned. Now, the Telegraph and others, even Ukraine is talking about this. Are ultimatums coming? And I'm here to tell you tonight that it is very possible. I'm very concerned about Dmitriev having such access into the United States. To be quite honest, we'll talk more about that. I'm concerned that the continual onslaught of Ukrainian civilian targets, energy targets, media targets, is just ignored by the world. We'll talk more about that in a moment. Trump views Ukraine as a subsidiary dependent on American policy and funding. That is a fact. He is counting on a quick peace agreement with Ukraine. We know the 24 hours, the 90 days, March 20th, April 20th, who knows when, but he's counting on a quick peace agreement with Ukraine. But folks, that plays perfectly into the Putin plan. We are currently looking at a Trump brokered peace deal with the terms potentially dictated by Russia. Or Ukraine, if they do not agree, will lose American support. So easy to see that will be the Russian plan. I go straight back to Dmitriev just being in Washington and also some other things Dmitriev has done today. Going to be interesting, and I'll show you that in just a few moments. The Putin plan unfolds. Very easy to see. Putin believes that time is on his side, and by dragging out the process, he will be able to put himself in even more advantageous position for negotiations, accelerating progress on the front and continuing to destroy Ukraine and to destroy the support for Zelenskyy. That is what they're pushing for. That is what the MAGA narrative, the Carlson narrative, this is why Dmitriev is in Washington in the ears of American politicians and envoys, including Lindsey Graham, not only trying to garner support for the Russian plan, but to destabilize Ukraine and destroy Zelenskyy. Putin has deliberately put forward extreme conditions for a ceasefire that are tantamount to Ukraine's surrender because they know that these demands cannot be accepted. Trump's inner circle is advising him, fortunately, not to meet with Putin until he agrees to a ceasefire. Unfortunately, we see how that is unfolding. Tonight, President Zelenskyy, in his evening address, made direct statements about Russian ballistic missiles and also the Russian strike this morning on Kyiv media centers. Missiles went everywhere, guys, and the Patriots are having a much harder time to take them out. That's coming from Yuri Ignat because Russia is reprogramming how the missiles are flying, and they are doing a better job against the Patriot defense. Unfortunately, it's just the truth. Here's what Zelenskyy said just a little bit ago. I'll play it for you. Today's Russian attack included missiles launched from the waters of the Black Sea. Our partners know exactly which vessels were involved and from which part of the sea the launches occurred. This is one of the reasons why Russia is distorting diplomacy, why it is refusing to agree to an unconditional ceasefire. They want to preserve their ability to strike our cities and ports from the sea. A ceasefire at sea is not just about free navigation and the export of food products by the sea. It is above all about overall security and about bringing peace closer. Putin does not want to end the war. He is looking for ways to preserve the option of reigniting it at any moment with even greater force. That's exactly why all forms of pressure on Russia must continue, strengthening our ability to defend ourselves, maintaining sanctions, and ensuring that diplomacy, any conversations with Moscow, leaves them no opportunity to kill. If there is a ceasefire, it must be unconditional, one that does not allow for the destruction of life. Ukraine has agreed to the US proposal, the proposal of a full, unconditional ceasefire. Putin is refusing. We are awaiting a response from the United States. None has come so far. And we also expect a response from all in Europe and around the world who truly want peace. Every day, the Russian army launches ballistic missiles. Every day, people are killed. Constant strikes against our cities of Sumy and Kharkiv and Dnipro, Kherson, Zaporizhia, Donetsk, and other regions. Today, Russian ballistic missiles targeted Kyiv. Every day brings lost lives. Every day brings lost opportunities for diplomacy. All this cannot be tolerated in silence. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, just a piece of Zelensky's statement tonight, but I wanted to focus on that. He makes it very clear about the distortion of diplomacy, and where I'm going next, talking about Dmitriev, is one of the things that President Zelenskyy is talking about. Ukraine under every day, what did he say? Every day missile fire, ballistics. And every day is a lost opportunity for diplomacy and another day that strengthens the Russian position and the American viewpoint that is being resourced out of the Kremlin. It's obvious to see. They have Russian talking points. We call it for what it is. Silence must end, but silence continues. And he point blank today called it out. We are waiting for a U.S. response. But all we hear is crickets. Instead of that, what are we getting? We're getting this. Dmitriev. This guy is going to become a much bigger player on the Russian stage. Dmitriev, appointed by Putin to work on international issues, is now commenting on internal issues of the United States. He comes to America. The sanctions are lifted. He meets with Witkoff. We know he also met with Lindsey Graham in the White House. Trump is tariffing the world, including all the penguins, and we know all about that and have had fun with that. It's just a tragedy of how inept our government is to understand anything in regard to foreign policy. But now Kirill Dmitriev went from nobody, from sanctioned, from quiet, to Putin's main man. He could eventually become a stronger player, and actually be the replacement in the future for Sergei Lavrov, the foreign minister. Dmitriev flew to the negotiations in the United States alone. He absolutely has the ear of Trump and Trump's inner circle. He also met during that trip with Lindsey Graham. And now this. He tweets out today, When the hands-off protests are this well organized, it begs the question, is the deep state applying its playbook from color revolutions abroad to attempt one at home? The Resistance Lab video below draws some striking parallels, and he's showing the pictures of the protest against Trump and the executive actions, the executive orders in Boston, New York, Chicago, Portland, San Francisco, San Diego, Idaho, Utah, Oakland. There was a large one down near where I live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. But now we have the Russian negotiator who was just in the White House now making commentary about American politics. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a big problem here, and the world needs to recognize it and wake up. Poland did, and they said, US, you're going down the wrong pathway, and you're going to absolutely mess this thing up if you go for the Russian plan. Now, back to the ballistic strike in Kyiv. You are looking at one of the impacts there. I can show you this video. You are looking at the building that is the headquarters and offices of international media, TV channels Freedom, DIM, the editorial offices of UATV English and Spanish and Arabic and Portuguese, also the home of the gays, as well as the digital departments and technical services were destroyed. Ladies and gentlemen, I have done a lot of work for UATV. Our good friend, Operator Starsky, works for UATV. He is fine. He's safe. He's not there in Kyiv. But the reality is, what is Russia trying to do with that strike? Silence the voices that tell the truth. That's always what they're trying to do. And that strike against media, you cannot miss it. Now, people were giving a little bit of heat yesterday after the strike on Kryvyi Rih when President Zelenskyy called out, this was the slide I used yesterday. Unfortunately, the reaction of the American embassy is unpleasantly surprising. Zelenskyy, such a strong country, such a strong people, and such a weak reaction. They are even afraid to say the word Russian when talking about the missile that killed children, the president wrote. That was in response to the strike 2 days ago in Kryvyi Rih, where now the death total stands at 19. He's referring to the tweet of the ambassador Bridget Brink, horrified that tonight a ballistic missile struck near a playground restaurant in Kryvyi Rih, more than 50 people injured and 16 killed, including 6 children. This is why the war must end. He says, well, hello, it's a Russian missile. Don't fall for the narrative that they're going to try to twist it, that it could be a Ukrainian or it was a military target. Well, it worked. Today, the response adjusted the ballistic missile strike on Kyiv, and kudos to Ambassador Bridget Brink tonight. As of 6:30 a.m., Kyiv and the rest of Ukraine remained under a ballistic and cruise missile attack from Russia. Loud explosions in the capitals and reports of attacks in multiple cities, of which there were. But for the folks that were out there saying, okay, Zelenskyy, be careful. Don't call out. Don't call out the Americans. We're trying to get their help. No, that's the problem. Silence. It's what President Zelenskyy keeps repeating. Silence is the killer. Silence is the killer. Silence is what reinforces the Russian position. And grateful today that the ambassador has called out Russia. Iran is a huge player in this. Do not miss it. It's a big deal. Russia and Iran are connected. They are looking at a further agreement over the next 4 to 6 weeks. The only agreement they could go further with would be a military pact agreement similar to that Russia and North Korea has. Look at this. On Thursday, Trump said he would prefer to hold direct talks with Iran. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. I think it goes faster, and you understand the other side a lot better if you go through intermediaries, the U.S. president argued. U.S. wants the mediator to be the UAE. Iran wants the mediator to be Oman. But on Saturday, the president of Iran, Pezeshkian, just yesterday said, if you want negotiations, the U.S., then what is the point of threatening us with all of these attacks? We see how much you have put into this Middle Eastern region, what you're doing to the Houthis. We see you amassing in a massive war machine, and it serves no purpose if you want to negotiate. He then goes on and says, today, America is not only humiliating Iran, but also the world through threats, Greenland, Canada, Panama Canal, etc., and tariffs. Except there's no threats against Russia. None. And Putin is loving this. Putin is loving that America is having to focus on Iran and focus on the Middle East. And while that's happening, missiles are just raining down on Ukraine. In fact, I have a video clip here for you coming out of whatever their parliament is called. Here, you're going to hear some Farsi translated into English.
In God's name, we know this year is crucial for our nation's future. We must choose wisely, balancing national interests with our pride and faith. While avoiding conflict is wise, global power's aggression leaves us little choice but to be prepared. The only path forward is swift development of nuclear capability as a deterrent. Our hard-earned nuclear knowledge must now serve us in all areas. Particularly in security, it should level the playing field for negotiations. Peace be with you.
So there you have it. That's internal talk there in whatever their government system is called. We need nukes. We got to have nukes. We can't negotiate without nukes. This is exactly what Putin is loving. And you may ask, okay, Greg, why is there such a connection between Putin and Iran? You know, you have Putin in North Korea and Putin in China. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the axis of evil. It's blatantly obvious. They want to divide the world and have a new world order. It's not conspiracy theory. It's just a fact. It's Iranian Shaheeds that is the design and are still flying over Ukraine, but now Russia has improved them with the second version and even the third version. But it's the Iranian and Russian connection, and Putin is loving it. Let me point it out for you here. What is happening right now? Massive U.S. military buildup in the Middle East, including strategic bombers within striking distance of both Iran and Yemen. According to the Saudi Al-Hadath channel, another advanced American air defense system, the THAAD system, arrived in Israel yesterday. Right now, an unplanned trip by Netanyahu to the United States is underway. And the supreme leader of Iran has instructed Iranian forces to maintain the highest level of alert. So much focus on Iran, and Putin is loving it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what they do. Division, distraction, diversion, dragging the feet, and by all means necessary, control the narrative. And we see that happening. It's been a big day with a lot of information unfolding, but unless you're looking at the big picture, you will miss some of it. And today, a lot unfolded on the big picture. Thank you for being here. Thank you for continuing to help us share the truth, stand with Ukraine, fight for Ukraine. But we can see now we're just moving even on the cusp of World War III. The economic war is underway. The division of the world is underway. And we're going to stand strong. No other example needed, ladies and gentlemen, than the missile dropping on the media center in Kyiv today, trying to silence the truth. We will not be silenced. We stand until victory. Thank you for being here. We'll be back at you later.